Hello, it's Randi Rhodes. Here's a clip from our show, and go to randyrhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.
Mary had a little man.
The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
Okay, check this out. This is like President Pesci, okay? I mean, why does everything this president say sound like a scene out of Goodfellas? Why?
If you're saying the payments, if they're not illegal, then why would he use that information for a plea deal?
Because he makes a better deal when he uses me, like everybody else. And one of the reasons I respect Paul Manafort so much,
Oh my God,
is he went through that trial. You know, they make up stories. People make up stories. This whole thing about flipping, they call it. I know all about flipping for 30, 40 years. I've been watching flippers.
How?
Everything's wonderful, and then they get 10 years in jail, and they flip on whoever the next highest one is, or as high as you can go. It almost ought to be outlawed. It's not fair. Because if somebody's going to spend 5 years like Michael Cohen, or 10 years or 15 years in jail because of a taxi cab industry, because he defrauded some bank, the last two were the tiny ones. You know, campaign violations are considered not a big deal, frankly.
Oh my God.
But if somebody defrauded a bank and he's going to get 10 years in jail or 20 years in jail, but if you can say something bad about Donald Trump and you'll go down to 2 years or 3 years, which is the deal he made, in all fairness to him, most people are going to do that. And I've seen it many times. I've had many friends involved in this stuff.
Really?
It's called flipping, and it almost ought to be illegal. You get 10 years in jail, but if you say bad things about somebody, in other words, make up stories, if you don't know, make up stories. They just make up lies.
Oh.
Alan Dershowitz said, compose, right? They make up lies. I've seen it many times. They make up things, and now they go from 10 years to they're a national hero. They have a statue erected in their honor. It's not a fair thing, but that's why he did it.
Oh my God. Oh my God. So this is the president of the United States, the man in charge of protecting and defending the rule of law, the man who swore an oath to protect and defend the Constitution and to execute faithfully all the laws within the United States, with some very harsh words for the laws of the United States. I mean, how does he know all about flipping? 30, 40 years been watching flipping. This is like a scene out of Goodfellas. I swear, we need to have, we should have elected Pesci. At least he's entertaining to watch. This guy is it's just so insane. And I've seen him many times. I've had many friends who invoke this stuff. Really? How many presidents have we had that have 30, 40 friends who have entered into plea bargains? And by the way, if you lie after, you don't get to make stuff up, number one. Number two, it's never a he said, she said. These things have to be documented. Remember, Michael Cohen has tapes of Donald Trump telling him to go ahead and make the payment to Karen McDougal, to go ahead and bring it all in-house, to buy it from David Peckerhead's National Enquirer. Inquiring minds know there's a tape. There's a freaking tape. This is so amazing that you could just make things up and that, they just lie. They say bad things about you to get out of trouble. It doesn't work like that. You have to go to a court of law, and it's not going to be his word against his word. It's documents. It's sham, checks. It's setting up corporations, shell corporations to do these things. It's tracing the money trail. And by the way, this is one of the most damning articles, and nobody's really talking about it, but it came out yesterday, I think, or the day before, and I've had it. But here is how, this is the Washington Post, by the way, and this is how Trump paid back Michael Cohen for the secret payments to Stormy Daniels and Karen McDougal, and this is illegal too, which is why they're saying the president is an unindicted co-conspirator. This is a criminal violation. And when he went to pay Michael Cohen back, he sits there and tells, Ainsley didn't come out of campaign. One of my first questions was, did it come out of campaign? That couldn't have been a question because you told Michael Cohen to go make the payment. It's on freaking tape, you lying sack of crap. But when he did go to make the restitution or the payment to Michael Cohen, who took out a fraudulent loan by fraudulently reporting income on loan documents to get the money to pay these women, and then Donald Trump, of course, he stiffs Michael Cohen because he's a disgusting man. Even when you're partnering with him in criminal enterprises, he stiffs you because what are you going to do? It's like Goodfellas. Well, what people never understood was that we were just a police department for the people who couldn't go to the police. That's what the mob is. It's law enforcement for people who can't go to law enforcement. That's what Michael Cohen was. He was law enforcement for Donald Trump, who was doing illegal things and couldn't go to law enforcement. So he was a bagman. He dropped off the payment, right? So now Michael Cohen, he's Maury. I want my money, Jimmy. I want my money. He didn't know how close he was to getting whacked. And even if I told him, he wouldn't have believed me. But that's how close. That's how it happens. Right? It's like a scene out of Goodfellas. So here is how Donald Trump paid back Michael Cohen. I'm just going to read this newspaper article. The payments began flowing to Michael Cohen in February 2017, soon after Trump took office, when Cohen approached Trump Organization executives asking to be reimbursed for, quote, election-related expenses. Now, Michael Cohen apparently was not on the campaign. Why is he making election-related payments? That's number one. Number two, that included a $130,000 payment Cohen had made to adult film star Stormy Daniels so she would remain silent about an alleged affair with Trump, according to court documents. Trump executives decided Cohen should be paid more than he sought, an additional $360,000 for expenses, other fees, and taxes, plus a $60,000 bonus, prosecutors said. The involvement of Trump's company in the hush money payments has been previously reported, but Tuesday's documents released as part of Cohen's plea deal with federal prosecutors offered the most detailed accounting yet of the full scope of the payments and the machinations inside the president's company over how they were made. I don't even want to get into the deep dive about how you can't have corporate donations paid on the sly to a campaign and not report it and not document it and not tell the put something in the record. I don't even want to go there because this is more disgusting than that. While Trump removed himself from day-to-day operations of the Trump Organization after the election, he put his assets in a trust and retained his ownership stake. Okay. The documents point to two unnamed Trump Organization employees who prosecutors say approved the payments. Now, we know who one of them is. It's Alan Weisselberg, right? I talked to Alan. I talked to, for our friend David. And David is David Peckerhead from the National Enquirer. But two unnamed Trump Organization employees who prosecutors say approved the payments, with one executive instructing an employee to describe the fees to Cohen as legal expenses. The employee was instructed to put the word retainer for the month of January and February 2017 in the description of the first payments, court filing said. That's illegal, and every lawyer who's listening knows it. And if you're not a lawyer, I'll explain it to you as simply as I can. I know there's a lot more to it that the lawyer's going to kind of cringe, but you have to keep timesheets. You have to account for every quarter hour, every single second of representation that you're offering your client. You can't just write that a illegal campaign contribution that you want to make through your corporate entity that's going into your presidential campaign is a legal fee and a retainer from a lawyer who you say didn't commit any crime. Cohen submitted monthly invoices. These were sham invoices, okay? And that's also illegal. As a lawyer, this is illegal. Cohen submitted monthly invoices and received all the monthly checks, according to the filings, for a total of $420,000. Quote, this is what the prosecutor said. In truth and fact, there was no such retainer agreement, and the monthly invoices Cohen submitted were not in connection with any legal services he provided in 2017. The Trump Organization is issuing sham invoices and sham checks to a guy who did a criminal thing for Donald Trump during an election. And now Trump is saying there's no crime. It's stunning to me. Trump's trust paid Cohen early in 2017. But according to Trump's attorney, he personally paid Cohen the rest of the monthly invoices. The payments, as well as Cohen's admission to prosecutors that he made illegal campaign contributions, quote, in cooperation with Trump's campaign, present potential legal questions for Trump's company and his campaign, experts said. Quote, if you believe the theory that the payment was made solely for the purpose of influencing a federal election, then the recipient of the benefit would be the Trump presidential campaign. And therefore, they would have received an impermissible excessive contribution, said Charlie Spies, who served as counsel for Mitt Romney's 2008 presidential campaign. The total amount cited Tuesday by prosecutors marked the latest twist in the hush money saga, which gained notice earlier this year when Daniels went public with information about her arrangement with Cohen. Cohen also arranged for a Trump ally and friend, the publisher of the National Enquirer, to purchase and bury the story of another woman, former Playboy model Karen McDougal, who claimed an affair with Trump. Initially, Trump said he was unaware of the payments to Daniels, but later, Trump's attorney Rudy Giuliani revealed publicly that Trump made a series of payments reimbursing Cohen for the $130,000 settlement with Daniels. In May, Trump's attorneys filed disclosures with the Office of Government Ethics, reporting that Cohen had incurred expenses of between $100,000 and $250,000 in 2016, just before the election, and that Cohen fully was reimbursed in 2017. But the prosecutor in the Cohen investigation said Tuesday that Cohen, quote, sought reimbursement for that money by submitting invoices to the candidate's company which were untrue and false. They indicated that the reimbursement was for services rendered for the year 2017, when in fact the invoices were a sham. So I said, did it come out of campaign? Did it come out of campaign? And it didn't come out of campaign. It didn't come out of campaign because that would have been dicey if it came out of campaign. And I've seen it many times. I have many friends, involved in this stuff, and it's called cooperating with prosecutors. It's called flipping. I've seen it many, many times. And without it, we wouldn't have a legal system because the rich and powerful almost never get caught. But this man is so inept that he got caught. All of them are so inept that they get caught. He could have gotten away with everything he's ever done. Manafort could have gotten away with everything he's ever done. Cohen could have gotten away with being a bag man for a man who was laundering Russian money for years. They all could have gotten away with it. But oh no, they wanted to run for president of the United States so that they could run a criminal enterprise and pardon people once it was exposed.
So flipping, Ellie. The president said also in this interview this morning, quote, it's called flipping and it almost ought to be illegal. Yeah. So twofold question there. Is that just saying in a way that telling the truth should be illegal? Or, of course, you can flip and you can lie. But if you lie initially, you got to stick with that lie?
This is a subject that's close to my heart, having been a prosecutor not long ago, and this is lunacy. Do you know who hates cooperating witnesses most? Jeff knows this. The leaders of criminal organizations. Drug traffickers hate cooperating witnesses. Mob bosses, corrupt CEOs and politicians, because that's how they get brought down. And to claim to be the law and order president and yet to be discouraging and even intimidating people from coming forth and giving testimony is outrageous. And I will say this. The president went on to say, and now they're saying Michael Cohen's a hero and they're going to build a statue. Not at all. Cooperating witnesses are bad people. That's what we say as prosecutors all the time. They're cooperating witnesses for a reason, because they're criminals. And that's where our jury system kicks in. And we just saw this in the Manafort trial. Juries will evaluate witnesses, and they'll see them and decide, do I believe this person? Does the other evidence back them up? And if not, they'll acquit. And if they credit the cooperator, as I think we just saw largely in Manafort, then they'll convict. But that's our system.
Elsewhere in that interview, he says the Justice Department with justice in quotes, which is pretty amazing in and of itself. But you know, all of us who have been federal prosecutors, the whole structure of how federal prosecutions work is based on the idea of working from the bottom up, of getting low-level people to cooperate against people above them. And that's why federal law enforcement is so successful. And we were, I'm not there anymore, but that's why we were so good at our jobs.
Right. Right, because the rich, the powerful, the corporate CEOs, the Wall Streeters, the politicians, do you know how ham-handed and stupid you have to be to get caught in this justice system? This is such an unequal system of justice that we have in this country. So you got a president who's sitting there saying that we need to prosecute the civil violation of border crossing without, permission. That's a civil violation. That needs to be put into criminal court. But the real criminals who do the bagmen and the mob bosses and the politicians and the presidents and the dirty congressmen, you can't have somebody testify against them to get immunity for themselves, because the low-level guy is the one that should go to jail. It makes no sense. This is so. And here's another classic moment. Okay, here's another classic moment from this Ainsley airhead who had no follow-up questions, by the way. I mean, the president is sitting there lying to her little blonde head, and she has absolutely, I don't think she had a clue, what the lies were. I don't think she understands anything to do with, this particular crime or campaign, the difference between a criminal campaign activity and a civil violation of a technical error in reporting. You had 48 hours to report and you didn't report for 49 hours. Oh, so that's a civil thing, right? I don't think she understood it, this little blonde. I really don't. But this was a classic moment. Check this out.
76 days away from the midterms. Hard to believe. If the Democrats take back power, do you believe they will try to impeach you?
Well, I guess it says something like high crimes and all. I don't know how you can impeach somebody who's done a great job.
What? Wait, what?
I'll tell you what. If I ever got impeached, I think something like high crimes and all. I don't know how you can impeach somebody who's done a great job.
What?
I'll tell you what. If I ever got impeached, I think the market would crash.
Oh my God.
I think everybody would be very poor, because without this thinking, you would see numbers that you wouldn't believe. In reverse, if Hillary Clinton got elected, instead of 4.1 up, and each point is $3.5 trillion and 10 million jobs. When I took it over, it was at 1.
Okay, that's a lie. All of this is a lie. Everything he's saying is a lie. Okay, he's saying, listen, if he is asking me to envision a world where he is not president, I am not afraid to envision or live in that world. Are you? He's literally saying if he left, the stock market would crash. I mean, what are we in our 192,462nd month of growth? What is he talking about? What is he You would be very poor. You would see numbers you wouldn't believe in reverse. Don't threaten me with a world where you're not president, because that makes me thrilled. I'm so excited. Holy crap, man. Oh my God. And it's such a lie. I'll show you charts. I'll show you graphs. I'll show you history. I'll show you the stock market when they impeached Bill Clinton. I'll show you the stock market, during the impeachment of Bill Clinton. I'll show you what the stock market has looked like all these many months before he was president. And he's insane. He is literally mentally deteriorated. Go to RandiRhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.